The attach surfaces command is a way for you to take two NURBS surfaces and connect them together to form a single contiguous surface. It's very easy to use. Let me create a couple of quick NURBS surfaces so that I can demonstrate the operation and all of its options. Create one NURBS plane here, and I'll just duplicate that over and create a second NURBS plane here. Now, the easiest way to look at the tool is that it's going to take, by default, the two edges that are closest and merge those together to form a new surface. So let's come down to Attach Surfaces. I'll open up its options, and let's go ahead and reset these. And I'll click Apply. And here's what we end up with. We get a new surface made out of the two original surfaces. Now let's take a look at some of our options. We have Attach Method, Blend, and Connect. By default, the operation is set to blend, and we can actually see the effects of that here. We have one single surface that is a nice flowing blend between the two surfaces, but as a result, the two surfaces were distorted in order to create this new shape. They now have a little bit of bend in them, where as we can see, they're two straight planes down below. And they've also been stretched out a little bit to kind of meet in the middle. Now, when you use the blend attach method, you have a blend bias attribute, which instead of actually coming in here and adjusting inside the tool and then rerunning the tool, I can adjust this in the attach surface node, like so. And what this is going to do is allow you to control which of the two surfaces you had selected is going to have more influence over the final shape. Setting this to a value of 0 will give the second surface more influence, which you can see because the new surface is actually retaining more of the shape of the second surface. Or if I set that over to 1, the first surface instead has more influence. And you can see the isoparm that's created in between the two dragging to each surface as you slide the bias left and right. For now, we'll go ahead and leave that at 0.5. Now, if you'd like, you can also insert an extra knot. Let's say, for example, that blend is maybe just a little bit too much, a little smoother than what you had in mind. You can select the two of these and insert a knot in between the two surfaces when you create the attachment. And notice we don't have quite as much blending now. We don't have that nice, soft, very highly tangent carryover from one surface to the other. We have a little more of a point once we get up toward the top. And that's because what we've done is we've inserted an extra knot right there at the join point. Now, after we've done that, we can actually control the parameter at which the knot is inserted. By default, this is set to 0.1, which is a relatively tight insertion. As you decrease this value, you're basically tightening up the area of attachment, pulling this into more of a crease. As you increase the parameter, you're softening this up. Once you crank it all the way to 1, you have essentially the same thing you had without a knot at all. So it's just a way to get yourself a little more control over how that attachment is going to be working. So let's take these two blended surfaces. We'll move them off to the side. And let's take a look at Connect. Connect is a little bit more of a direct approach to bringing your two surfaces together. There will be no blending from one surface to the next. And right now we have this set to Connect, and multiple knots is set to Keep. Let me just go ahead and click Apply, and then we'll talk about that. What just happened is that the second surface came straight over to the first surface, and the two were attached to form a new surface. But look at this. We have a razor-sharp edge, which you can see here, where the two connected. Now, the reason we have that razor-sharp edge is exactly the same reason why you can get razor-sharp points in curves. We have multiple knots, or in this case multiple isoparms, all stacked right on top of one another in this area. Now, we can remove those as part of this operation. I can select these two surfaces, click Remove, click Apply, and we have essentially the same surface. The second surface did come over and was connected to the first, but because we got rid of that extra knot, we now have a smoother rendition of the surface. Notice here we have some curvature, where down below we just have a razor-sharp edge. So it just kind of controls whether or not you want a very strong connection or if you need to soften it up a little bit. So there's a look at the two attach methods, but we're not quite finished yet, because as you may have seen, when you create an attachment, you end up with an attached surface node, which has several different settings that are not mentioned in the options for the tool. Now remember what I said at the very beginning of the video, that the attach surfaces command is going to take the edges that are nearest one another and connect them. It's very important that you remember that, Because in some cases, Maya could be guessing wrong when it does that. Say, for example, I wanted to take this surface, and I wanted it actually to attach to the far end of the second surface, so actually to wrap around and connect down here. If I were to simply select both of these surfaces and choose Attach, let's just go ahead and go with the default settings for now. We don't get that. The two edges that were closest to one another attach. What I wanted was a surface that kind of wrapped down and then came back up and around. I can fix that by taking a look at some of the other settings that are created as part of this node. First off, we have the method, which we can change if we wanted this set to connect or blend. We have direction U, which is a Boolean value. This allows you to control whether or not you are attaching in U or V. If this is set to off, you're attaching in V. If it's set to on, you're attaching in U. So it just depends. Like I could change it now to 1, and now we're attaching in V. So this surface is connecting in this direction to the beginning of this surface, like so. So you get kind of a strange zigzag. But very cool that you can make adjustments like that. So let's go ahead and switch that back off. Now, reverse 1 and 2. What this is going to allow you to do is to flip-flop the U or V values of your surface, depending on how you're attaching. In this case, we're attaching in V, so we'll be reversing the V values for the surface. So you can choose which surface you want to reverse, and 1 and 2 are the order in which you selected them. I selected the left first and the right second, so that's how I need to actually do this. Now, if I reverse the first surface, notice what we have here. Now, it may be a little bit tricky to see, but what we have is the first surface was attached from this end over here to the second surface. So we have a surface that kind of wraps back and around, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted this surface to go to this end and then wrap back up. So we'll switch reverse 1 off, and we'll switch on reverse 2. And there's what we actually wanted. That we wanted a surface that wrapped down to the bottom of this and came back up. And that's how you do it. You just change around those reverses. You also have swap. And what this is going to do is swap out the U and V directions of the surfaces. It'll make the V direction into the U direction and the U direction into the V direction. And you can do that for either surface. So I can do it here, so that now we're attaching basically from the side over to the front of this surface. I can do it for the other one as well, or just one or the other. So, it's just something to kind of play with. You can also choose whether or not a twist will take place. Now let me take these two surfaces, and notice how I've got these kind of slid around, so we have a little bit of a twist going on here. If I come in here and I switch on twisting, it's going to flip one of the surfaces, either U and V, in such a way so that you end up with a twist when all is said and done. So it's just kind of another way to look at surface creation. Let me go ahead and switch off the swap here. So now I have twist off here, and I can switch it on, and notice how we get a twist right in the middle. Usually, I use this as a corrective force, because sometimes when you attach, you may end up with a twist in the middle, and so you can use this as a way to kind of kill that off. That's really about all there is to it. There is one thing, though. You can prevent Maya from guessing wrong in the first place if you actually select the individual isoparms where you'd like attachments to take place. Like earlier, I wanted the surface to come from here, up, and then back down, and then wrap back this way. So what I had to do was attach the two, then play with my reverses. If you don't want to go through that problem, you can come in, choose an isoparm here, and then choose exactly which isoparm you want the attachment to take place. In this case, hold down Shift, grab this far isoparm, go to Edit NURBS, and choose Attach Surfaces, and we get exactly what we want on the first try without having to go in and swap anything around. So it's just another way to look at it. So that's really everything there is to know about attaching surfaces together, and that will wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.